The Strongest Cultivator is a System Maker by Raven Tan. Chapter 1 Reborn. The Endless Void, a realm of boundless nothingness that stretches between all creations, universes, and realities. Untouched by time, substance, or form, it has remained an eternal constant. But now, this ageless stillness quakes as a battle of unfathomable power unfolds, each clash shaking the very foundation of existence. Boom! Boom! Two transcendent beings collide in a struggle that bends the fabric of reality. One, a humanoid figure enshrouded in a radiant gray-silver aura, commands the void with a terrifying authority. His raised hand shines with blinding light, concentrating into a beam of power that surges forward, unstoppable in its wrath. Opposing him is a colossal red orb, vast enough to dwarf entire universes. Pulsing with chaotic energy, it resists with all its might. Yet despite its immense form, the orb falters, cracks spreading across its surface as it endures the relentless onslaught. The gray-silver light cuts deep into the red orb, erasing chunks of its essence with every strike. The orb trembles, its core burning with a singular instinct: to survive. For eons, it has existed as a manifestation of chaos, thriving in the lawless expanse of the void. But now, the inevitability of its destruction looms closer. Boom! The orb fractures into trillions of fragments, each piece scattering across countless universes in a desperate bid for preservation. Yet even this act of survival is thwarted. With a mere gesture, the gray-silver figure obliterates the fragments, reducing them to nothingness. A mournful growl echoes through the void, raw and wordless, as the red orb's existence flickers. It cannot bear the thought of ceasing to be, but its opponent has already seized its essence core, the very foundation of its being. Life and death now rest entirely in the hands of the gray-silver figure. The orb's desperation swells. It transmits a final plea, offering servitude, humiliation, anything to avoid annihilation. The gray-silver figure pauses, his radiant form betraying a trace of intrigue. "So you're little more than a human infant," he remarks, his tone sharp with both curiosity and disdain. The red orb, humiliated and enraged, gathers its last reserves of power. In a final act of defiance, it launches a suicidal attack, seeking to bring its opponent down. The attempt is futile. With an effortless motion, the gray-silver figure seals the orb's movements entirely, locking it in place. He speaks again, his voice quieter now, laced with understanding. "You share the fate I once did. A mere existence striving to defy the inevitable. Though our paths differ, you embrace the law of the jungle, and I have overcome it. I will grant you a chance." Without hesitation, he begins dismantling the red orb. Its memories, power, and existence are stripped away, leaving only its essence core, the true soul, intact. Suspended in the void, the core shines dimly, awaiting its uncertain future. MC POV. "I don't want to die. I need to breathe. Why am I in water? Where's the surface? Why can't I feel my hands? Someone help me. I'm in pain." Countless questions filled my mind, but no answers came. Only an endless, searing pain in my head. Time stretched endlessly, and it felt like an eternity had passed before I was finally free from the suffocating, wet environment. I tried to open my eyes, but I couldn't see anything. Everything was blurry, and my body felt strange. Desperately, I tried to call for help. What the heck? A baby's cry? Wait, that's my voice. Did I just cry like a baby? No. This can't be happening. Did I become a baby? How? Why? Before I could process anything further, unfamiliar voices filled the air. A man and a woman, their tones warm yet foreign, spoke rapidly. I strained to understand them, but the language wasn't English. Their words were completely alien to me, but the rhythm of their voices carried a strange, comforting familiarity. Lan Hang Shang. What's going on? Where am I? My mind raced, but my tiny body betrayed me. Exhaustion overwhelmed me, and despite my spiraling thoughts, my eyes slowly closed. Darkness claimed me once again. 5 years later. Young master, mistress is calling you, the young maid said in a polite tone, but the smirk tugging at her lips betrayed her true thoughts. Lan Hang Shang noticed immediately. Mockery hid behind her courtesy. He couldn't blame her. Just yesterday, the talent identification ceremony had upended his life. Lan Hang Shang hailed as a prodigy since birth, had been the pride of the clan. He spoke his first words at 1 month old, walked by the second, and was reading books at 6 months. Such accomplishments made him the clan's shining hope, destined to bring honor and glory. Expectations for his future soared to impossible heights. Yet, the ceremony's result crushed those dreams. The truth struck like a bolt of lightning. Lan Hang Shang was born without a spirit core, the very foundation of cultivation. Without it, he could not step onto the path of immortality, and the gates to cultivation were forever closed to him. The clan's joy turned to scorn, and disappointment spread like wildfire. His parents' rivals in the clan, long waiting for an opportunity, would undoubtedly seize this chance to attack their standing. The world Lan Hang Shang found himself in was nothing like Earth. Back on Earth, he had been a highly successful investor, a multi-business owner whose financial empire guaranteed him a life of ease. With wealth so vast, he could spend millions daily without concern. He had retired young, ready to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But one moment, he had everything, and the next, he found himself reborn into this strange world. At first, Lan Hang Shang thought he had traveled back to ancient China. The architecture, customs, and eastern landscapes all pointed to it. Yet this world contained wonders beyond anything his previous life could fathom. Here, immortal cultivators soared through the skies, wielding powers that bent the laws of nature. He vividly recalled watching his father rise into the sky, a spectacle that shattered his assumptions and confirmed he was in a realm of cultivation, the kind of world he once thought only existed in novels. The Lan clan, into which Lan Hang Shang was reborn, was a prominent family situated in the heart of the Golden Pillar continent. The clan boasted a massive network of more than 10,000 members living together, a testament to their strength and influence. However, in this world, strength was everything, and Hang Shang's lack of a spirit core made him a weak link in their mighty chain. Hang Shang rose from his study seat and followed the servant to his mother's chambers. They passed through the lush garden, fragrant with blooming flowers, before arriving at the entrance to her room. The servant stepped aside and lowered her head respectfully as a calm, feminine voice called out from within. "Come in." Hang Shang pushed open the wooden door and stepped inside. His mother. Her name is Wang Lianshui, a woman with long, flowing black hair and a poised demeanor, sat gracefully within the room. She radiated elegance, her youthful appearance belying the wisdom she carried. A member of the Wang clan, long-standing allies of the Lan clan. She had come from a powerful lineage that shared territory under the Golden Sword sect, the overlords of the continent. "Mother?" Hang Shang greets her with a polite posture. "Shenger," she began softly, her voice carrying warmth and understanding. "I have heard about what happened yesterday, but do not let the words of others discourage you. The way of the heavens is mysterious. Even someone without a spirit core, like you, can achieve immortality. It has happened before." She spoke with a gentle, reassuring tone, weaving tales of ancient immortals who, like him, were born without spirit cores, yet defied all odds to ascend to greatness. Such figures achieved immortality not only through unyielding determination, but also extraordinary luck and rare opportunities, like discovering a legendary treasure capable of transforming a mortal into a cultivator. Hang Shang listened quietly. Absorbing his mother's words, he understood the immense difficulty of the path she described. But unlike others who might feel helpless in this situation, Hang Shang did not despair. He was not reborn empty-handed. "Thank you, Mother, for caring about me. I will not let others' opinions close my path," he said, his voice calm yet resolute. Hearing this, Lian Shui felt a surge of pride at her son's unshaken will, though her heart ached, knowing the difficult road that lay ahead. The thought of her son growing old and frail, unable to break free from mortality, made her chest tighten painfully. She stepped forward and embraced him tightly, as if trying to shield him from the trials he would inevitably face. After releasing him, she sent Hang Shang back to his study with a warm smile. Hang Shang left his mother's chamber with a heart full of warmth. At least in this world, there was someone truly on his side. He muttered to himself, "Not like those brats from yesterday. They called me Big Bro all this time, but flipped on me the moment they found out I didn't have a spirit core. I'll make them regret it someday." He clenched his fists briefly, but then let the anger go. They were just 5-year-old kids. What did they know? The real reason Hang Shang wasn't discouraged by the talent identification ceremony yesterday lay in a secret only he knew. During the ceremony, when spiritual chi surged into his body to identify his core, it found nothing. But instead of merely failing, the process triggered something far greater, something that had followed him through his reincarnation. Returning to his room, Hang Shang firmly closed the door and instructed his servant not to disturb him. He quickly sat down, his gaze fixed on an invisible screen only he could see. It had been loading since yesterday. A short while later, 98%, 99%, 100%. Ding! Make a wish. Chapter 2. More wishes. That's it? Hang Shang stared at the words before him, disbelief etched across his face. Make a wish? He had envisioned a powerful system descending upon him, granting him a cheat-like ability befitting someone who had been reincarnated. Instead, it wanted him to pray to some higher power? Hang Shang frowned, frustration bubbling within. What am I even supposed to wish for? The possibilities swirled in his mind like an endless storm. Can I wish to be the strongest in the world? No. This was a cultivation world. There was always a higher realm lurking somewhere. If I'm the strongest here, someone from a higher realm could just come and slap me into oblivion. He scratched his head, thinking harder. Then what about wishing to be the strongest in the universe? But even that didn't feel right. He didn't know whether this world had a multiverse, and if it did, his wish would still fall short. Frustrated and overwhelmed, Hang Shang threw caution to the wind. Fine. Can I just wish to have more wishes? Ding! The wish is made. Hang Shang froze, his eyes widening. The system had accepted it. Wait, what? It actually worked? Before he could fully process what was happening, a sudden pressure engulfed his body. His vision blurred, and the world seemed to spin out of control. He stumbled backward, falling off his chair and collapsing onto the floor. A sickening wave of nausea crashed over him, his body trembling violently. It felt as if he were caught in the throes of a severe flu, every inch of his being screaming in discomfort. I can't! Hang Shang's thoughts began to fragment as the overwhelming sensation pulled him deeper into the abyss. His consciousness flickered and then faded entirely. A while later, Hang Shang didn't know how much time had passed, but he slowly opened his eyes. His body ached all over from the earlier incident, and confusion clouded his thoughts. What happened? What about my wish? He sat up, rubbing his temples, and decided to test it. I want to be the strongest, he shouted. Nothing happened. I want to be an adult. Silence. I want to have a spirit core, he yelled in frustration, waiting for any sign. Yet, nothing came. Hang Shang's face twisted in disbelief. Did I just get scammed? Damn it! Desperation clawed at him as he tried again. System! Status! Status window! His voice echoed through his room, but still there was no response. Ah! Hang Shang screamed, slamming his fists against the floor in frustration. He had convinced himself that his lack of a spirit core would be a temporary setback, that the so-called cheat he had expected would eventually make up for it. But now, his hopes seemed crushed. He lay on the ground, staring at the ceiling, despair washing over him. Life as a mortal in a prestigious cultivation clan was worse than being an ordinary mortal. Without cultivation, he would be seen as trash for the rest of his life. His father, the son of the Lan clan patriarch, might shield him to some extent, and his mother, a key figure in their allied Wang clan, could protect him from outright death. But beatings and humiliation? Those would be unavoidable. Most of all, Hang Shang yearned to cultivate, to be immortal, to transcend the limits of life itself. Who wouldn't want that? Hang Shang cried pathetically, rolling on the ground like a helpless child, sucking on his finger out of frustration. He imagined his bleak future. Even if a treasure that could turn a mortal into a cultivator existed, it wouldn't fall into my hands. The stronger forces out there would never allow it. Even if by some miracle I obtained it, it would bring destruction to my clan. We'd pay the ultimate price for possessing something beyond our capability to protect. Just as he was about to lose all hope, a strange warmth began to radiate from his chest. The sensation was foreign, but oddly comforting, like a flicker of hope igniting deep within him. Hang Shang sat up abruptly and closed his eyes, focusing on the sensation. Suddenly, his consciousness was pulled inward. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a vast, endless white space. The emptiness stretched in every direction like an infinite blank sheet of paper. What is this? He muttered, looking around. When he glanced at his hands, he realized they were translucent, ghost-like. Panic gripped him. Am I dead? He quickly closed his eyes again, and the moment he did, his consciousness snapped back into his body. Hang Shang gasped. Sitting upright in his room, the warmth in his chest still lingered, faint but steady. Determined to understand, he closed his eyes and focused on the feeling again. He was back in the white space. This time, excitement bubbled within him as realization dawned. This must be my cheat! Hang Shang took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. Questions began swirling in his mind. How does this work? Is this some kind of tool for cultivation? Could it give me extra time to practice? But if that were the case, it wouldn't help him anytime soon. He recalled the teachings of his clan. Cultivation could only begin properly at the age of 15 when the body matured into adulthood. Starting too early risked an unstable foundation when one reached the spirit body stage. As he pondered, Hang Shang decided to explore. He moved his spirit body around the vast white space. To his amazement, he found that he could float, even fly, in this peculiar realm. It must be some kind of mind space, he murmured, assuming it existed within himself. He flew forward, but no matter how far he traveled, the scenery didn't change. The space was endless, an infinite void. Frustrated, he paused mid-flight, a thought suddenly striking him. My wish. Maybe this is where I should start. Stopping in place, Hang Shang took a deep breath and declared boldly, I want to be the strongest. Immediately, a surge of power flooded his spirit body, filling him with strength he'd never imagined. Excitement bubbled within him as he raised his small palm, aiming forward. With a single thought, the energy gathered into a glowing sphere and shot out into the void. Boom! Far away, an explosion erupted, its shockwave rippling through the white space. Hang Shang laughed with satisfaction. It worked! Drunk on power, he made another wish. I want to be an adult. His spirit body transformed before his eyes, growing taller and more muscular. Gone was the frail 5-year-old form, replaced by a commanding adult figure. He laughed again, this time with a sense of omnipotence. I'm a god. Omnipotent. Consumed by a sense of power, Hang Shang made another wish. Turn this place into earth. Suddenly, the blank white space began to shift. Stars appeared, filling the vast void, and the ground beneath him solidified into the familiar blue-green planet. He stood on Earth, taking in a deep breath of imaginary air, basking in the illusion of pleasure and control. But doubt crept into his mind. Is any of this real? Hang Shang froze. The fear that all of this was just an illusion gripped him. His chest tightened. What if it's all fake? He steeled himself and opened his eyes. Back in his room, Hang Shang glanced at his body. He was still a 5-year-old child. The overwhelming power he had felt moments ago was gone. The wishes, the earth, the stars, all of it vanished, as though it had never existed. His laugh was hollow as he mocked himself. Stupid! I actually thought everything would be okay just like that. This world was nothing like the one he had come from. On Earth, success came to those who worked smart and who found the right way to the top. But here, the fight was over before it even began. Still, Hang Shang gritted his teeth. At least I have something. A super reality simulation, a place where I can escape and forget about this harsh reality, even if only for a while. For now, he resolved to retreat into the mind space whenever the world became too much to bear. If nothing else, it would be his sanctuary away from the cruel world outside. Hang Shang closed his eyes and returned to the mind space. Everything he had wished for earlier still existed. The earth, the people, and the bustling world he had shaped. With no hesitation, he resumed playing God, molding the simulation further. He populated the earth with people who resembled those from his old world. But something was off. They stood blankly, lifeless, like mannequins waiting for commands. Frustrated, he made a new wish. Let everything here be like the real Earth. At once, the simulated world sprang to life. The blank stares faded as the people began to move. Streets filled with activity, cars honked, workers bustled, and children laughed. The world flowed seamlessly, as if this day was no different from any other. Hang Shang hovered above it all, watching with satisfaction. As he focused, a strange sensation overtook him. His awareness expanded, and he could feel the thoughts and actions of the simulated 7 billion people below. His mind brimmed with their collective knowledge and creativity. A sudden idea struck him. What if I use these simulated people to solve my problem? Could I create geniuses to think outside the box for me? The thought excited him, but it also raised another question. Why not just wish for my own intelligence to increase instead? Careful not to overreach, Hang Shang made his next wish. Make me smarter without losing myself. Instantly, he felt his mind sharpen. Memories from his past life, conversations, books he'd read, details he had long forgotten came flooding back. His thoughts flowed faster, clearer. It was as though the fog in his brain had lifted, leaving behind crystal clarity. This feels amazing, Hang Shang whispered, marveling at his newfound mental acuity. I never realized how much a sharper mind could change the way I see the world. But curiosity gnawed at him. Does this intelligence stay when I leave the mind space? Opening his eyes, Hang Shang returned to reality. The dull ache of his mortal body reminded him he was back. But his mind still felt sharper. He decided to test it with some mental math, solving equations far beyond what his 5-year-old self should manage. So it works! He laughed triumphantly. Even if it's not as strong as in the mind space, I've still become smarter. About 10% of what I gain here carries over, but it's real. Then another question rose. Why can intelligence transfer, but not physical changes? Does it only apply to things I think in my mind? His newly enhanced intellect prodded him toward a bold, if insane, experiment. Without hesitation, Hang Shang re-entered the mind space, made a wish, and then immediately opened his eyes again in reality. Ding! Status. Name, Lan Hang Shang. Level? ? For a moment, Hang Shang stared in disbelief, then burst into an uncontrollable laughter. For the first time since his rebirth, Lan Hang Shang's heart swelled with real, unshakable hope. Chapter 3. System. Hang Shang laughed uncontrollably, basking in the euphoria of his discovery. He had found a way to cheat the laws of the cultivation world. But his triumph was short-lived, as something felt off. Suddenly, his stomach growled fiercely, an empty ache spreading through his body. In an instant, he collapsed to the ground, his strength drained completely. Hang Shang's face turned pale as he clutched his stomach. "What's happening?" he muttered through gritted teeth. Struggling to make sense of the sudden weakness, his sharp mind kicked into gear, deducing the likely cause. So, the cheat comes with a cost, after all. No wonder the system didn't fully materialize or display all its features. It only showed my name. Helpless, Hang Shang forced himself to sit upright, crawling towards the chair in his chamber. He felt like he hadn't eaten in days, even though breakfast had just been 2 hours ago. Hunger consumed him, and with no other option, he called out to his servant with all the strength he could muster. "Lan Ju, bring me a meal, a lot of it!" Hang Shang shouted hoarsely. "Yes, young master," Lan Ju replied promptly from outside the chamber. Before long, the door opened, and Lan Ju entered. Carrying a small banquet's worth of dishes, the servant placed the food on the table and, hearing Hang Shang's stomach growl audibly, stifled a smile. Hang Shang felt his cheeks flush slightly in embarrassment, but waved his servant away impatiently. "Leave me," he said. "I'll eat alone." Lan Ju bowed and retreated from the room, closing the door behind him. Hang Shang wasted no time digging into the feast. Manners forgotten, he devoured the food like a starved animal, the gnawing ache in his stomach driving him to eat more than he ever thought possible. 15 minutes later, the table was empty, and Hang Shang leaned back in his chair, feeling bloated but finally sated. Wiping his mouth, he let out a sigh of relief. "I can't keep this up," he thought, his earlier excitement now tempered with caution. "If using my treat drains me like this every time, my body won't survive long. The body is the foundation of everything in this world. Even a minor injury can cripple a cultivator's potential." Hang Shang considered his next steps carefully. He couldn't afford to be reckless. Creating a system to assist me seems feasible, but I'll need to ensure it works efficiently in the real world without draining me to the brink of collapse. If this world demands careful planning to succeed, then so be it. Resolved, Hang Shang began brainstorming how to design a system that would not only help him cheat the natural order, but also function seamlessly within the limitations of his mortal body. Hang Shang, now full from his meal, stood up and walked to his bed. He lay down and closed his eyes, entering the mind space with a familiar sensation. In an instant, he was surrounded by the endless white void. Here, his ability to wish was unrestricted, granting him access to unparalleled possibilities. Hang Shang focused, activating his enhanced intellect. He began considering the first issue at hand: how to fully utilize this mind space. The logical first step was understanding its limits. "Let's test this," he murmured, making a wish. The answer came swiftly. "There is no limit. The only boundaries are your imagination and knowledge. Everything here will manifest according to your will." So that's how it is, Hang Shang thought. His suspicions confirmed. If he could imagine the strongest being, he could become that powerful in this space. But the next question loomed. Could he bring anything from the mind space into the real world? Like his increased intelligence or the incomplete system? He made another wish, and the answer revealed itself. Yes, but everything brought into the real world must adhere to its laws. There will also be a cost: energy, treasure, or equivalent exchange. It made sense. If he wanted to bring the overwhelming strength of his strongest self into the cultivation world, he would need either to surpass that power himself or to possess the energy required to sustain it. Without these conditions, such a wish would be impossible. However, more modest changes like a portion of his enhanced intelligence were viable. The cost was low, and such an optimization wasn't against the laws of heaven. In the eyes of heaven, improving his intelligence was akin to refining his mind, nothing that disrupted the natural order. Similarly, for the system, heaven would interpret it as a technique, a construct powered by his mind and body energy, rather than something magical entity or something that violated its rules. Hang Shang couldn't help but smirk, satisfied with the clarity of the answers. This simplified everything. Now he knew the steps that he had to take to re-enter the battlefield of this world and fight for immortality. The first step was fixing his core issue, literally. Without a spirit core, he couldn't hold spiritual chi within his body, the defining trait that separated mortals from cultivators. Hang Shang recalled the knowledge imparted by the clan teacher about spirit cores. These cores were categorized by both quality and type. Quality ranged from mortal, earth, heaven to divine, with each level representing an exponential increase in a core's ability to absorb chi from the environment, harmonize with the heavens, and enhance the user's comprehension of Tao or chi alignment. Types were based on affinity, enabling cores to specialize in certain chi or Tao paths. The weakest and most common was the neutral core, mortal grade, which had no affinity and the slowest chi absorption rate. Cultivators with this type of core would struggle to progress, often requiring their entire lifespan to reach the next realm. Such individuals were typically overlooked by sects and clans, forced to walk the path of loose cultivators without the resources to succeed. At the pinnacle of the cores lay the Chaos Core, divine grade. This extraordinary core granted the holder an affinity with all types of chi, the highest absorption rate, and unparalleled comprehension speed. Cultivators with this type of core had cultivation speeds tens of thousands of times faster than those with the weakest cores. With such a core, ascension to immortality was almost guaranteed, if they could survive the inevitable challenges and dangers along the way. Hang Shang's goal was simple: to create a system that would help him form a spirit core. He couldn't create a core instantly. The energy required was far beyond his current means. Instead, he resolved to build it gradually, little by little, feeding the process through food or natural treasure. His first desire was to form a divine chaos core, but a quick calculation revealed the grim reality. It would take him millions of years. Even with constant energy input, using his wish ability, Hang Shang deduced the most optimal path forward. The results were clear. A mortal neutral core would only take 7 years to form, giving him a workable starting point. However, he aimed higher. A mortal metal core, which would take 10 years to form, would be far more advantageous. The Golden Pillar continent was abundant in metal chi, allowing him to cultivate at speeds comparable to someone with an earth quality core. With 10 years before others, his age began their cultivation journey. The decision was obvious. With his plan set, Hang Shang immediately wished for the creation of a system to form the core. Ding! Mortal Metal Spirit Core Formation Processing, 10 years, 00:00:00. Hang Shang felt a warm sensation bloom in his lower abdomen, the area where the spirit core would eventually form. He closed his eyes, returned to the real world, and focused on observing himself. Sure enough, the warmth persisted. He willed the system panel to appear, confirming its operation. Ding! Mortal Metal Spirit Core Formation Processing, 9 years, 365 years, 23 days, and 58 hours. A grin spread across Hang Shang's face. His plan was working. He had finally found a way to cheat the heavens. However, his triumphant moment was cut short as a familiar sensation struck. His energy was being drained, not all at once, but gradually, just as he had designed. The realization hit him. I've literally programmed my own suffering. Lan Ju, get me more meals! Hang Shang bellowed, his voice echoing dramatically through the chamber. Yes, young master. Yes, young master. Lan Ju replied, though her tone carried a subtle undertone of confusion. After all, the young master had just eaten his breakfast meal a while ago. What on earth was wrong with him now? Lan Ju's POV. Yesterday had been nothing short of a spectacle. The once glorious young master, heralded as a prodigy destined to lead the clan, was revealed to be just a mortal. Lan Ju couldn't help but laugh internally at a cruel joke heaven had played. Who would have thought the same child who strutted around like he was better than everyone else would fall so hard? And not even while walking the path of cultivation. He didn't even get to start. At first, she had been thrilled to be assigned as the young master's caretaker. It was supposed to be an opportunity, a stroke of fortune for someone like her from a minor branch of the Lan clan. But now, that dream had shattered faster than her hope of ever advancing in the clan. Secretly, she cursed her luck. Why, young master? Why did you have to be just a mortal? Despite her resentment, she stopped herself from mocking him outright. After all, he was still just a 5-year-old child. This must have been the biggest blow he'd ever faced in his short life. When the young master returned from Mistress Wang's chamber, his expression had been strange. A smile tugged at his lips, as though he'd completely forgotten the disaster of yesterday. But it didn't stop there. Later, loud, crazed laughter echoed from his chamber, followed by shouting. Lan Ju almost went in to check on him, but he had strictly instructed her not to disturb him. Then came another round of laughter, even more manic than the first. Shaking her head, she murmured to herself, "The young master's completely lost it. Poor thing." "Lan Ju, bring me a meal, a lot of it!" the young master suddenly screamed. Lan Ju blinked, baffled. He had just eaten a mountain of food not long ago. Still, she quickly responded, "Yes, young master." No matter what his current status, she was still his servant. Acting outside her role would only bring her trouble. She hurried to fetch what he demanded and returned with another feast. When she stepped out of the chamber after delivering it, she could hear sounds coming from within, like a pig devouring its food without a shred of decorum. She winced. He's really lost it. Moments later, another shout came. "Lan Ju, more food! Lan Ju, more food!" This time she was certain. He's gone completely mad. Looking up at the ceiling, Lan Ju sighed deeply, her shoulders sagging. Why? Why is this my destiny?